Hello, Star Wars CCG players, fans, and folks who just want to hang out with me on a Friday, Monday night. So days are hard sometimes. Garrett Larson here, Dead Body on Slack and the forums and everywhere else, bringing you the Retro Invitational. I believe this is a top 8 game with Johnny Chu, Mr. Yellow, versus Paul Todd Feldman, Dr. Torch. These are two absolute monsters in the retro format. These guys are very, very good and have been doing it for quite a while. Johnny is light side with hidden base. I'm expecting this is probably going to be some variation of hidden base X-Wings. And Paul is on bringing before me, starting Rest Order, Mob Points, and Oppressive Enforcement, which may be a setup to be running multiple grabbers. Johnny maybe isn't on X-Wings? Starting Wise Advice and Insurrection. Oh, excuse me. Johnny's dark side. Paul is light. That makes a whole lot more sense. So Johnny is dark side playing Bring It Before Me. Paul is light side starting what certainly looks like a variation on probably hidden mains of some sort. Starting Wise Advice, Insurrection, and Your Insight Serves You Well. Johnny started Mold Points, Arrest Order, and Oppressive Enforcement. Used Mold Points to grab Executor. Used the Death Star War Room, Death Star 2 Throne Room to get Emperor's Power. Just getting stuff going. He activates 3. We'll see a docking bay pull. We'll probably see the Emperor go to a docking bay. Like in this era, this is Premier to Death Star 2 era, so there's literally no reason not to do that. You're giving up 3 force. There is no one that scares you for 3 force from light side if you put down Emperor. And getting the extra force from mob points is good. See security precautions going on the rendezvous point. That's actually a big card in this era for this, because if you probe opponent's hidden base system, opponent loses X force and you take no battle damage where you have a probe card. So it allows him to spread in space a little bit, take no battle damage. You do still have to deal with attrition, but like you could stack the Executor in front of anything and just go, here's a probe and go with it. That being said, if this is some variation of hidden mains, Paul may not be intending to flip. Like this could just be I'm going to pull Dagobah to pull Yoda's Hut and, just use it for pullable activation, but not ever actually flip or intend to use it. Johnny, as stated, threw the Emperor down at the Executor docking bay just for the +2 from mob points. And between that, the +1 from Emperor coming down, Johnny's potentially activating a decent amount of force here. There we see Paul drops Alderaan. I think we might see some variation of our most desperate hour here. He used Insurrection for the Echo docking bay, throws the Home 1 docking bay from hand. Opening hand, Goonie Tay comes down. Now with Johnny starting Oppressive and Paul starting Wise Advice, I think we're kind of seeing both players say they're probably not running a lot of Sense Alter. Like Johnny might have a little bit because starting Oppressive isn't terrible even if you're running some amount of Sense Alter. But I don't necessarily think it's super impactful. And there we see Johnny using a Rest Order again. My guess is now we're going to see the Death Star 2 docking bay. He may have just missed it on the first pull. So let's see if here, let's try switching mics. Is the gain better on this one at all? All right, well, we'll stick with this one and call it good. We see Johnny with everyone's friend Janice going down with Palpatine. That's a big deal. Deploys the Imperial Holotable, deploys Gick to the Holotable, which is actually a real strong play here. That being said, if Paul is running something like Projection of a Skywalker, this could get real spicy real quick. So holotable rules, when you control it at any time, you can take the hologram of Dejarik off of it. But if you don't control it, you can't. And we see the split there again in this era. That is not a risky play in the least. Paul's got 7 force, which means to threaten Janice in any way, he needs the perfect hand of a 2 deploy spy, which I think is just Jerron Webb, plus Luke. Well, I guess, yeah. I guess you could go a little cheap more because you could deploy Luke from reserve for -2. But like just to go after Janice would be you'd need the spy for sure, which is going to be limited. And then have Luke in reserve and potentially have battle order just to start the battle for free, or he's only got 7 force. We see Clark Door, so maybe this isn't a hidden mains variant, but is instead, or it is a hidden mains variant, but maybe not running our most desperate hour, but instead just throwing down non-battlegrounds and saying, hey, I can just, here's activation I can pull and play. I don't love it. Like, you got to figure out something to do here. And I expect Jonny will start cycling with Janice quickly here. There's an altar, so Jonny is running some amount of it to cancel Gunite, and we see the what are you trying to push on us to grab the altar. And then Paul with the sense to straight cancel altar, and I think Jonny might be thinking about, nope, Jonny is not going to grab it. So that just stacks right through. So Gunite stays in place. Paul's now activating 8 next turn and save 3. I think you need to. I think you're probably going to see Palpatine move to the throne room and Janice move to the docking bay and just, okay, I'm not necessarily getting a ton. You're giving up a couple force that way, but you're still activating a bunch and you're only going to draw so much this hand. We do see this force drain from the holo table. Paul loses traffic control from reserve deck. Okay. That's a new one. You don't see that played often, even in this era, because there were just so many better ways to cycle your deck. Jedi OSU, thank you for subscribing with Prime. You guys, that means you guys get the standard speech from me. If you have Amazon Prime, this is the single easiest way to support the Players Committee is to subscribe via Amazon Prime for Twitch. It costs you exactly $0 and does bring some value to the PC. It helps pay for things like GEMP and virtual cards and all of the stuff that happens behind the scene that does still cost actual monies and allows us to continue delivering the game and all of the associated game things for free. Paul activates, plays Tunnel Vision. This era's a little slower to build. It starts a little slower. If you normally watch a lot of open, these guys are on turn 3. Like, somebody would have already died twice by now in open. This is not open. This is a slower era, a slower format, which also means for commentary, you get a lot more of me chattering and talking about things. So the tunnel vision going through, I'm still trying to figure out how Paul's planning to cause damage. Like, Jonny's not necessarily showing a lot, but I think Jonny's intentionally, he's waiting for Paul to put something out because right now he's ahead. Like, he's got the Gick draining at the holo table. Like, he is winning this drain race. Unless Paul does something in there. We see Jonny using masterful moves, so he's cycling back the cards he wants to put back. And so he did use Janice already. So he's not cycling it back, and he grabs a Monarch. So he says, Paul, you're not drawing. above 12. He's threatening to keep that in check, which is smart play. Like, again, very common in this era, masterful move. There's a reason Escape Pod was in VSAT 1. Because Darkside having masterful move and being able to go get their Gick and being able to go get their Monarch, and Lightside having no equivalent, was one of those Decipher failures where they were like, oh, let's try and make things different, but it didn't actually differentiate properly. It just made one side better. We see Revolution going on the Executor docking bay, so Paul's trying to do a little bit of choke, a little bit of annoyance as well, and that also gives him the, with Alter already being grabbed, Jonny has to be a little bit cognizant of like, okay, what am I doing here? Excuse me, with that. And looks like we're going to see Luke come down somewhere. So Luke Jedi Knight going to the home 1 docking bay for 3 force. Gets a lightsaber from hand. Now, in theory, this is going to bring the drain race back in line a little bit. That being said, Jonny could absolutely be running Come Here, You Big Coward. That's a very reasonable card to have in the deck, and that will absolutely shut down that Luke drain because the Come Here, You Big Coward effect does not require Jonny to occupy a battleground. It just says if your opponent doesn't occupy 2, their retrieval and drains at non-battlegrounds are canceled. So we see the drain of 1 at the holo table. And Paul loses Draw Their Fire off the top. That's a card he would have rather not lost. I think that's a card he was hoping. And there is the Come Here, You Big Coward. Look at me pretending I almost know what's going on. So again, the effect version of Come Here, You Big Coward. Deploy on table unless opponent occupies at least 2 battlegrounds, Asteroid Sanctuary, force drains at non-battleground locations, and force retrieval is canceled. It is immune to alter if you occupy any battleground, but I'm not really expecting Paul to be running alters. Like, especially given the fact that he snap grabbed Jonny's. I think Paul might be, his play and plan might have been, I'm going to run Sense to cancel the alters. And if I get into a war like that, like, okay, well, even if you alter my Sense, with Wise Advice, my Sense is going to go used, and I'm going to grab your alter, and you're going to run out of them, and I'm going to be able to just Sense as I see fit at some point. And Jonny playing a Twi'lek Advisor after he searched his reserve deck for a docking bay and grabbing Hell to Pay. So he's also says, yep, we're going to be playing grabbers. And that makes a ton of sense. Like, that's a reasonable grab. Honestly, if Paul had had a Sense in hand, I would have expected him to Sense that Twi'lek, because you just don't want to give Jonny the setup. Like, because Jonny just stopped drawing. Johnny's like, all right, well, I've got 10 cards in hand, or 12 cards in hand. One of them's Monarch. Make something happen. And right now, Paul's going to struggle. So we see Paul grabbing a docking bay via Insurrection. I'm expecting, since we didn't see it's going to an immediate verify, he's either got the Tatooine docking bay or he's got the spaceport. So there's the Tatooine docking bay. So we may still see some variation of our most desperate hour. If you put the regular docking bay, or the whatever spaceport docking bay, I think can go to Alderaan. Yeah, it can, because there's Alderaan operatives. So we see Luke moving there just to give, hey, here's a battleground. We'll start doing things. At this point, I assume Jonny's got a Vader, and this is what he was waiting for, was just, you need to at some point give me Luke. You need to put Luke at a battleground, and the moment you do, I'm going to go take him. And Jonny's got 12 cards in hand that he's been kind of cycling and, getting what he wants between Janice and everything else. There's the Obi's lightsaber going off the top to the drain of 1 at the holo table. Honestly, that holo table drain has put in more work than expected. Like, that really is a solid little sight. Like, it's a little bit of a risk for Jonny, but at the same time, he's got Emperor's power, so he can always, if Paul does do something like, here's a projection of a Skywalker, you're like, all right, fine, I'll draw Battle Destiny, I'll use Emperor's power, so I draw Battle Destiny, I'll lose my Gick, you lose your thing, and then next turn I can throw the Monarch there. Like, you're totally fine with that. Jonny's still kind of thinking in control phase, though. I'm trying to figure out. With Jonny, there's always 7 steps ahead of where I'm at thought wise. Like, he's very likely already tracking around. Well, no, because he just shuffled with the Twi'lek. He's probably tracking around the Twi'lek and figuring out if he can get a 6 with it to do some sort of Sabacc shenanigans at some point. But with Jonny, it's so hard to figure. Otherwise, in there we see Darth Vader with lightsaber, often EPP Vader, Enhanced Premier Pack. That's where the first exposure of guys with guns came from, was Vader with lightsaber, Luke with lightsaber, Han, Leia, Boba Fett with guns, and Obi with lightsaber. So that does flip Jonny's objective, which means he's going to start losing a force a turn, which I think Paul's perfectly happy with. He wants Jonny to lose cards. Like, right, literally, so far, Jonny, the only card in Jonny's last pile is his starting interrupt. Jonny moves Vader over via Docking Bay Transit, and then draws 1 to replace the Vader he deployed and keep himself at 12 cards, and uses Janice to cycle a card down and just keep himself right at 12, because Paul absolutely is more than capable of running Grimtash, and Jonny says, I do not need to be burnt by it. Jonny loses Overflowed from reserve deck. That is the most Jonny card in the deck. Like, that is absolutely a Jonny Chew. I'm going to track around to 0 for 7 turns until it hits the right spot. Paul going with another Tunnel Vision from his 20 card force pile. Like, he's looking for something. I'm wondering a little bit what it is. And I gotta think it might be he's looking for some variation of the, like, I need a spy, I'm going to send everything I've got at Vader and Janice type thing. But, like, that's such a bad... There's so much bad with that. Like, I'd almost rather see him just load up the Tatooine Docking Bay and say, yep, I got this, and stick with it. So Paul took a good card. We don't know what it is, but he's a good player, so he took a good card. We're going to go with that logic. Stunning commentary you guys get at 9:30 at night. Like, it is late, and I am old. So Paul's in his deploy. He's got to come up with something. There's strike planning. So I'm wondering if he's going to throw down Endor just to, again, bump up his activation. And there's Honor, which is actually real big. Honor will now stop that holotable drain as well. So suddenly the force loss will eventually equal out, because, excuse me, Jonny's going to keep losing to his objective, but that drain at the holotable no longer happens because the holotable is not a battleground. So Paul's going to be reducing it by 2 with Honor. And there's Ben Kenobi at the Tatooine Docking Bay. He already lost a Saber. That one concerns me a little bit, because Jonny is absolutely the kind of player who's just going to be like, all right, I'll move over Vader and circle. Like, that circle is absolutely a card he can have in there. Nope. So he's throwing Cal Flam Syndra, Ben Kenobi with Yoda Skimmer Stick and Cal Flam Flim Flap Pimp. Yoda Skimmer Stick Use 2 force to play on a character ability unit in 3. Fully immune to attrition. Where present, no battles or attacks may be initiated unless opponent's character of ability greater than 3 is present. So he's trying to lock up some sort of order to engage shenanigans. Like here's Ben Kenobi with the Gimmer Stick. You can't start a battle against me, and now you lose force because you didn't start a battle. Again, the one downside to that is that Ben Kenobi, while he does add 2 to... Oh! 5th Shuffle. That is the anti-Jonny tech right there. The, look, I know you can track your entire deck. I'm just going to stop you. And Jonny, Spike grabs it. Like that. These guys did know who their opponent was going to be. Out of commission. Yeah, that's fine. Like, Jonny's not worried about that right now, although theoretically the out of commission is something Jonny's going to have to be cognizant of. Like, you can't lose Vader into lost pile now, because if he gets OOC'd, you could be in a little bit of trouble. But I don't trust that Ben play nearly as much as I'd like to. That sure as heck looks like circle bait. Dr. Torch plays Weapon Lev to try and take a weapon into hand from use pile. He misses. I don't know that Jonny has more weapons to play. The only, like, Jonny might have Mara plus a saber would be the only kind of weapon you're going to see, because he is running Vader with lightsaber. And we see Jonny plays Monarch, Grimtash, Smokescreen, Kraken, Control, Captain Han, Wedge, Beggar, Ben, Advantage, Tycho, Rogue 3. So he's going to lose the 2 beggars. And that's it. Yeah, the Colonel Kraken, Captain Han, Wedge, Red Squadron Leader, Tycho, and Rogue 3. That's... Alright, I'm... Okay. So, basically, Jonny got rid of 2 beggars, which is good, and much more importantly, got to see that, yes, he has to worry about Grimtash, he has to worry about Smokescreen, but Paul's got 0 interrupt. 0 he can do to an interrupt if Jonny plays it. Like, if Jonny has the circle, Obi-Wan's just out of play, and there's nothing he can do. Mara Simalu potentially is also ability 4. That's about it. Jabba is in some of these decks as well, and Jonny just says, well, instead I'm going to go through U3PO, so I don't have to worry about the drain, but he's still... Long term, you're still behind in that game. But yeah, Mara, Sim, and Jabba are basically the only ability 4 characters. Now we're going to start sealing the duel. I mean, at this point, I think Jonny would be fine with winning the duel simply to cause the 1 force loss. Honor is going to reduce it. So we see 6 and a 4, so he does have a Sabak in there because it's Jonny Chu, and why wouldn't you? And there's a General Crix. So we know he's got a general he can go get with strike planning, and a barrier. Yep, not a shock to see either of those. So, yep, it's Vader wins, which means it would be a 3 force loss. It is reduced by 2 with honor, so Paul loses 1. Not sure what he's going to lose. His deck is interesting so far. The Vader moving in there says Jonny's either confident he can win all the duels and just grind the damage, or he doesn't have circle and isn't running it and doesn't want to go mess with Ben, because you'd have to put enough power there. You have to be cognizant of, like, here's Rogue 3 with Wedge and Tycho, and battle, you draw no battle, cancel battle destiny, etc. Like, there's a lot of obnoxiousness that can go in there. Jonny's in move phase, still in move phase. I wonder what else he's thinking of. Yeah, he's not doing any more moving. He's just going to draw a few. So probably just draw up to 12 because again, he knows. Crix pulls Kraken and Blount. And Blount might actually be more important because Blount gives him the pull and flips ISB, which I wouldn't necessarily put Jonny on, but is not absolutely not going to be a card deck he plays either. A little more surprised we didn't see the Endor system come down with strike planning. Like, it gives you a battleground system, gives you that second battleground, but he doesn't have squadron assignments. He doesn't have the Captain Han pull set up yet, so that might have been the reason for it. So we saw Paul activate and use strike planning to grab Crix. I mean, the upside of Crix is he also, if you pull another scout with him, he sets up insertion planning, which is a ridiculously good card for battles at that docking bay. Like, if your goal is just load up this docking bay and survive these battles between Fallen Portal and insertion planning and scouts, you can basically never get hurt. Let's see, Paul searched those 5 cards for a docking bay and missed. Right now, Jonny has 25 cards down and 11 in hand. Paul has 19 down and now 10 in hand after he drops Tycho in front of Janice. For 5, he's going to have to spend another 5 for Wedge. Because again, the Emperor's Power makes all characters deploy +2. So no, he's going with Wedge for 5 as a pilot on Rogue 3. I mean, I don't love the idea of starting that battle because Emperor's Power means Jonny draws 2, which will kill somebody. And then you've got nothing. So I think Paul's just going to have to sit on that for a turn. Oh, all right. So he embarks Tycho on Rogue 3 as well. So Wedge, they're going to draw they're going to draw 1 Battle Destiny there, and it's immune to less than 3, and able to cancel 1 Battle Destiny. So Jonny's got to draw 2, and they have to be good. But like, Jonny knows where a 6/4 is. All he has to do is activate to leave that, and just be like, all right, well, here we go. And he can deploy other guys with Crix. So Jonny, even before he activates, he says, I'm doing nothing right now, but first things first, I'm going to duel my kid. So we see the duel getting started. And Jonny says, all right, well, there's a 6. And a 4. So we're at 10. 16, which means, yeah, Luke's going to struggle to beat that. There's a 5. And a 6, actually. So that means Paul wins the duel. So Jonny actually has to shuffle and attempt to turn. Jonny fails with that attempt to turn because he did not draw higher than 12, I think it is. 14, I don't remember what the number is. Greater than 12, yep. Since he has nothing added to it, that's a no-go. We do see Jonny goes and grabs his Force Lightning that he's been kind of letting sit for right now because I think he was more interested in tracking around and getting his tracking going, and then he had to do that shuffle and lost that. And there we see Twillick after he activates or he hasn't even activated yet. He's still inactivated. Yeah, he didn't activate anything. He just used Twillick to go get an effect now after he used Force Light, search for Force Light, so he knows what's there. And he grabs responsibility of command because it's a Jonny deck. Use 2 force to deploy on any war room at a rebel base. Target a rebel with forfeit greater than 4 or an opponent's leader. Opponent may not initiate a battle or force drain at same location as target. Cancelled when reached by target. So I expect we will see here's the Yavin 4 war room. Responsibility on one of the characters as Jonny activates 10. You see Paul getting General Calrissian with strike planning. That's his other pull. Makes for a good pilot on the Falcon. Like if you've got General Cal plus Captain Han piloting the Falcon, that's a solid setup that Jonny'd have to be cognizant of, especially with only activating 10 force. Like he's not necessarily going to be able to do a ton. Instead, it's Jonny. So there's the Echo Command Center to responsibility command. I'm thinking Ben. Oh, no, he's going to responsibility command Wedge. So Wedge cannot start a battle there, cannot force drain there. And we'll have to move to the Hoth docking bay. And there's the second part of the combo with the much anger in him. Play on a rebel. At the end of each opponent's battle phase, if you have presence at the location, that rebel has presence. And a battle did not take place, opponent loses 4 force. Well, every light side battle phase, if Jonny and Paul are at the same spot with that much anger in him, you lose 4 force. Paul's going to lose 4 force. It's really obnoxious. And if not, he has to then move away, but it costs him 8 force to move away from that docking bay, which is also not great. But it also means that Janice can just sit there and there is nothing Paul can do. Like right now, Paul is doing 0 damage, but he's also got very little damage coming out. Honor will subtract 2 from that damage, but it's still going to cause 2 damage. And more importantly, you cannot battle, you cannot drain. So yeah, except from your card, battle damage or force drain at battleground. Yeah, so it's still going to reduce, Honor's going to reduce it by 2. And there's no point if Jonny even does have another altar in hand. You don't alter Honor because between Wise Advice being able to go get it and then Insight or Wise Advice sending it used, you could just pitch Insight to go get it right away. So there's no real benefit. And there we see Paul playing the Signal for 3 to go get an effect of any kind. Is he running a third beggar? Oh, another Revolution. Okay. Like, I'm not sure what you're revoing here that's going to really make any amount of difference. Like, I guess you could, yeah, I don't know what you're revolutioning here. Oh, okay, the Death Star 2. I thought Death Star 2 sites were in there, or is it just the throne room? Oh, yeah, it's just the throne room that's immune to revolution. So now at least he can move away for free. And because of Honor, that does turn that into a non-battle. It's a non-battleground, so he's not going to lose anything from the drain there. Much anger in him is hitting. Yep, so he'll lose it by 2. Then I expect we'll see him move over. There we see a Ben Kenobi from hand and advantage from hand. So now Jonny would have to spend 8 to move Janice to follow. I wouldn't actually hate it. And there we see Wedge and Tycho. They're going to have to both jump out, I think. Yeah. You can't leave just one of them alone. That's just asking for a Mara beatdown. And we see Wedge move over, cancels responsibility of command. So solid play by Paul. Like Paul lost the absolute minimum to that combo that he could. And now, honestly, like Paul's got 2 battlegrounds. So he gets around Coward. He could do something like a here's an on the edge and actually get some value out of it. So Jonny is, I'm sure, searching for something as there. He used Janice and then Masterful Move to go grab Monarch, which I'm betting he put back last turn. Or no, that's a second Monarch because he played the 1, lost. So he's running double Monarch in this deck, and he might also be contemplating a, let's see what else you got in your hand, just to decide if he wants to go beat up Wedge and Tycho. Because honestly, I would not hate at all if he said, okay, let's go take down Wedge and Tycho. Like, so he left 5, I mean, he activated all 11, which leaves him 5 cards in reserve. He certainly could go down with a guy with a weapon. Like, it could get real interesting real quick if he went that route. Not sure, though. Like, he might do that and go straight to deploy, which makes sense. There's no point in draining when Honor's going to limit it. Clock is unlikely to be an issue, but absolutely not an issue. So we see the duel go on here. There's a sense for a 3. And battle order for 5. So he's got an 8, 14. And Paul draws a 4. There is the order to engage. That's the second part of that Yoda's stick combo, and a 5. So again, Paul wins the duel. So Jonny's going to shuffle and draw, and yep, there's a 6. So he fails to turn. Jonny did search his reserve deck already, so he knows what those last 2 cards are. Now, is he going to do anything with them? Like, you kind of hate seeing Wedge and Tycho sitting there. And Jonny might be going the other way and just saying, you know what? Here's Kashyyyk to bump up my force activation a little bit. All right, I like that. Zuckuss and Mist Hunter, because Paul didn't show any ability for pilots. Like, General Cal and Captain Han do nothing against Zuckuss. And that's actually a issue. Like, that's a big deal. I would not still hate to see somebody on Zuckuss just to give him, excuse me. All right. Jonny says, nope, don't need to put anybody on Zuckuss. Drawing back up to 12 and saying, let's go. That is a drain of 2, though. Like, that's good. That is good for Jonny to have and start running that damage through, because again, he is ahead in cards. Jonny has 18 down and 11 in hand for 29 cards. Paul's got 14 and 10 for 24. So Jonny still has a 5-card advantage going on. Paul activates, leaving 2 in reserve. That says he's planning on something. I'm not sure. 2 is a weird number. Because if you've got like a Leia with gun and Captain Han, you're drawing 3 Battle Destinies. And if you don't have Leia with gun, I guess Melas maybe? Like, that'd be the only other. And we see the drain of 1 at the command center. And Jonny says, I've got this projected telepathy. Might as well use it. And he makes Paul pay 2 for the drain of 1. And Jonny loses a gravity shadow from hand. Says, I don't think I'm going to need to stop you from moving away from me in space. So we'll just let that go. Yeah, that's the only drain Paul's got. So Paul's in his deploy phase. There's Gold Shrouded 1 with General Calrissian as a pilot. The Gold Shrouded 1's a little bit interesting. Like, I guess deploys -2 to Endor, but it gets no immunity with Han as a pilot, and we haven't seen Endor yet. Like, unless he was waiting to put out Endor till he could do something with it, but like, I'm still a little bit trying to figure out exactly what Paul's doing here. Like he's got some good combo cards and some good tech. You know, the Rogue 3 was solid tech for the Johnny's gonna do the much anger responsibility combo and allowed him to cancel it in one turn. But like it's cute tech that doesn't actually advance the win condition. And that's sort of my concern at this point is how is he going to win this game, because he's got to cause damage that he's just not causing right now. And Paul says, yep, that's enough. General Cal on the Falcon, don't need to do anything else. Now, he might be holding Captain Han because you can deploy Captain Han to Hoth. So you do have some Hoth sites there. If Johnny comes and does something, maybe, you know, you're using Captain Han to drop and just, hey, he's 7 forfeit. 3 ability, like, you know, let's make something happen. Not sure. I'm really not sure what else his thought process is there. Just checking to see if the football game is over with. So I'm assuming that means that Patriots won in a romp. Not a big surprise. And we see Tycho and I'd imagine Wedge moving back onto Rogue 3. Oh, nope. He moved Tycho over and embarked him and then disembarked him. I mean, I don't love splitting them. And asked for a revert. Yeah. And Johnny says, okay, I'll let you revert. Nothing changed that there was any knowledge of. And yeah, that makes sense. Why would you give up that drain for no reason? Paul just draws a few. Yeah, I was trying to, I think, come up with a way to cause damage, a way to do something. So down to 11 cards in hand and 11 cards in force. And Johnny says, before we do anything on my activate phase, let's duel. Johnny draws a 5 and a 5. All right, so that gives him a chance to cause a ping here. Paul draws a 5 and a 4. So I believe that means Johnny's going to win that. Yeah, because Luke subtracts from the attempt to turn. So Johnny actually needs a greater than 15 to turn Luke. The duel is not an attempt to turn. And Paul loses 1. He loses weapon limitation from hand. Not a big loss there. Pretty standard. You know, you're not going to need that card. You know, likelihood we've already kind of talked about. Like, there's only one weapon Johnny might be running, which would be Mara and Mara's Saber. And you're not coming at Ben. Like, U3PO is just putting in absolute yeoman's work there. Just saying, yeah, you're not doing anything. Johnny cycles a card with Janice, so he's knew what he just drew into, I believe. There we see the drain of 2 at Kashyyyk. That's going to start to add up real quick. Like, Paul is kind of low on cards. Like, he's just not getting a lot through. And we see the smoke screen go from hand, which makes sense because, again, Ben's just not getting attacked. And Lost in the Wilderness because there's only one place Johnny would potentially ever drain at that Lost in the Wilderness can hit, and that would be the Tatooine docking bay, and he's not draining there. Johnny says, you know what, just in case you try and come up with something funky for Kashyyyk, here's Dengar and Punishing 1, so you will have no immunity, and my total battle destiny will be plus the number of ships you drop there. Yeah, Vampire Hunter, I was wondering if he's trying to find Malos, but, like, I don't understand. Like, Gold Squadron 1, instead of the Falcon that gives him immune to less than 5 seems like an odd choice, especially given that he hasn't put out Endor. And if all he was doing was just holding Endor because he didn't want to give another battleground system for Jonny to go to, like, okay, but I don't think that's a great logic. Excuse me. And we see Jonny loses Vader for his 1 force ping from his objective. Johnny's down to 16 in life and 10 in hand for 26. Paul is down to 19 total, 11 down and 8 in hand. And Paul activates everything. I mean, we'll see a drain of 1 here, like, and Jonny will lose 1 force. Like, it'll probably be from hand. Paul certainly has the out of commissions he can start trying to roll with and cost Vader, try and put Vader out of play, but like he's not going to kill the Vader that's on table unless Jonny does something dumb, and doing something dumb is not generally Johnny's way. Like, he's playing Jonny Chu, he's not playing me. This is not the time to do something dumb for Jonny. This is the time to just, okay, I'm going to grind this game, but I'm going to win in a grind. Because Paul's put a lot more cards on table. Johnny's card use has been very efficient. There is the Melos. But, like, are you really comfortable moving Melos in front of Kashyyyk? Like, I'd be terrified. Johnny's going to be like, here's EPP 4-LOM. Battle, draw 17 Battle Destinies, and blow up your ship. There's Captain Han as a passenger. I'm assuming we'll see Han and Lando do a little swap. So he's at least threatening 2 Battle Destiny. Yep, and their General Cal moves from pilot to passenger, and Han moves to pilot. Yep. Which, again, just the old school Falcon is better because he'd at least have immunity. Like, you're not going to get it. Yeah, I mean, Punch It would be the only thing that would really be this saves you, but the thing with Punch It is Dengar still cancels his immunity. Like, Punch It gives him would add the Battle Destinies for him, but it doesn't actually get him through it doesn't keep his guys alive. And we see the Monarch, we see Grimtash, Kraken, Control, Crix. He does have the Punch It, another grabber, Leia with gun, and the Signals. So, yeah, he is setting up the Super Falcon. He's got the Punch It. Yeah, I mean, the Punch It probably clears Dark from space, but so, so he's got, 7 forfeits. So he'd have to get to 15 to kill all 3 pilots. So he'd have to get to 14 in, right now he's only got 2 draws. He'd need some help. Like, I don't know that Jonny, I mean, right now it's immune to nothing. Worm time. Gold Squadron 1 has 0 immunity right now because Calrissian is not piloting. Like, the immunity to Talon Roll is nice. It's the total lack of immunity is a big deal, though. Like, in this era, immune to less than 5 is very strong, and immune to not having that immunity is big, and this is where this goes real bad. Jonny plays Set for Stun to return Captain Han to hand, and draws the 5 he absolutely had tracked. Paul can't play Punch It. This is gonna get dirty real quick. All right, I mean, you've played well in these era tournaments, Worm Time, and I was pretty good back in the day in this era. I understand the argument you're making. I just think the immune to less than 5 is much bigger and worth the trade-off. I understand what you're saying. I do think there's an argument that can be made, and actually the one bigger destiny, I think, is almost the bigger deal, but it's a rough going there. Jonny says, here's my first strike. This is going to get brutal. He retrieves the set for stun. Paul doesn't have to lose anything because of honor. So, but he's got no immunity. We do see Jonny says, I am going to Emperor's Power to add a Battle Destiny. He loses the Mara Jade from reserve, so he got rid of the one he was going to draw and is now likely clearing the Falcon, or at least clearing both characters. There's a 6, so that's at least that's a 7 total right now, and a 5. So yep, Falcon go boom. It's a total of 12. General Cal and Malos are forfeit 11. So, yeah, Vampire, I totally agree. The fact that you can make an argument means they're both fairly well-designed cards, and both occupy a solid split. I'm just in an era where keeping cards on table was very strong. That immunity to the less than 5 is much bigger than functionally 0 immunity, which is what you have with Gold Squadron 1 and Captain Han. Like that's a big deal. Based on Paul's hand, I think it's all over but the crying here. Like, I'm not sure what else he's going to have here to go at Jonny. Like, he had Leia with gun in hand. He's got nothing. I mean, he's got Captain Han, but the Falcon's dead. Like, that set for stun was just huge, and Jonny used those Monarchs extremely well to know what his opponent had before he ran into it. So, like, he said, oh, you've got to punch it. All right, well, I'm going to be around that anyways, but hey, let's take that knowledge and be like, okay, let's get rid of the threat. Jonny draws a 9 for the dual destiny. Paul, I think, is going to beat that. Yep, Paul draws an 11. So you're... And that random, there's the Janus for the actual dual destiny, which is means his total is 2 and he needs to be greater than 15. Or excuse me, his total is now 5 and he needs to be greater than 15. Because he did get the stack from the first strike, because that stack cannot be reduced. We see Janus move over to hang out with Palpatine, and Jonny takes the Gick back into hand. That might be a function of he realizes he's well ahead in the drain race and damage race right now. So take away those things that are possibilities for him to lose force. We see he is going to take 1 from hand. There goes Executor. Yeah, he doesn't have the force to deploy it, and really isn't ever going to, and just doesn't need to. Like, I guess in theory you could have been like, oh, I'll deploy Executor and then move it to Clark Door or something, but like, you're not getting anything out of that, because until you have 3 battlegrounds, honor does nothing. Like, you're not getting anything out of it. Paul activates. Jonny uses Janus to put a card down and draw the top card of his reserve deck, which I believe is going to be his other Janus. And we see Paul uses the signal to grab an effect. I think he's the only one he might have in there still. I think he's got an order to engage. I mean, that might be his only option is let's move everybody to the Death Star. But like, if you move him into the throne room, you're looking at here's a Force Lightning to probably kill Wedge, and Paul grabs Battle Plan instead from reserve deck. Okay. I mean, you're not playing that right now. Like Johnny's got more force than you. It doesn't slow Jonny down appreciably, and Jonny will pay 3 to drain for 2. You're going to run out of turns where you can pay 3 to drain for 1 pretty quick. Paul activates a few more force and drains for 1 at the command center. Yeah, I mean, maybe Vampire Hunter, like that might be the play. And Jonny says, all right, well, pay 2 more to try and drain me for 1 or let me have my protective telepathy back in there. I mean, Johnny's going to win this game by 10 to 15 force. Like he's got 15 down right now. And the other downside for Paul trying to move everybody in as we see him grab the projective with push on us, which I think Johnny's totally okay with. Like, all right, well, now you can't grab my Sabak or whatever. And also, I effectively made you lose a card. Like, yeah, you cost me 1, but that's fine. I made you lose 1. And right now, Johnny's got more cushion to lose. And also with that paying for projective, you're not moving everybody over this turn anyways. I mean, I guess you could move Ben and Cal over. And then next turn, do the move Tycho and Wedge onto Rogue 3, transit Rogue 3 over, jump them off. Well, I mean, you're still talking an extra turn to move over. Jonny lost the Gick from hand to that drain. He says, I'm not losing another battle here. I'm just going to stay on top of it. Paul verifies his reserve deck. Jonny also gets to verify the reserve deck. I mean, I don't even see a lot of value in trying to move him into the Death Star. Like, there's not value in that play. I wouldn't hate seeing Jonny activate 1 and then Janus because I think that would get him his Brangus. Oh, activated 2, all right. And now he's Janusing, so I don't think that gets him Brangus. I think he might, we'll find out if he deploys Brangus. The question is, did he mistrack or just not want to go get Brangus, or did I mistrack? And I would put money on I mistracked over Jonny. Like, getting Brangus would not be a terrible thing here. Just here's Brangus, here's the Sabak he, I'm sure, has in hand. And we're going to see a duel right away. There's a 5. And I think this is 6. Yep. So it puts him at 11. I don't know if Paul's got the 11 there or not. Nope. There's the order to engage is the Force. That's the one I thought he would have taken over Battle Plan. And a 5, so we'll see the ping of 1. And this is just a slow and steady grind. Like, Jonny is playing this masterfully just in terms of the I can't make a mistake part of this game and just set your opponent up to... Oh, there's the drain of 2, and Paul plays control to cancel it, which Johnny's fine with. Like, okay, so I drained you effectively for 1 instead of 2. That's fine. I mean, you absolutely could see Jonny play his own battle order if he's got it, and Jonny does not. He draws 1 and says, okay, so Jonny either didn't get Brangus or didn't want to deploy him. And he's just sitting on force. He says, look, I don't need to play anything else. He lost his own battle order from hand. So he says, you know what? I don't need to get into this pay line. I don't want to pay for my own drains. And I don't know. I think he would have slowed Paul down even more, and I might have been okay with it. But instead, we see the counter assault. And there's the sense from Ben. Jonny grabs the sense. Are we going to see him pay 2 to alter it now? And exactly, Jonny pays 2 to play an alter from hand and cancel the sense. Now, does Paul have another? I don't think Paul's got another sense in hand. Nope, sense is canceled using alter, and now there's a 6 and a 5. So Paul's going to lose 6 to his own drain. Excuse me, 4 to his own drain because of counter. We see battle plan, Captain Han, Kraken, all from hand, the signal from force pile. The pulling the Gick, so the reason you pull the Gick is it wasn't doing any damage because of honor. Like Gick literally was doing nothing because of honor. There's no reason to leave it there because all Paul needed to do was exactly what you see. Here's a Grimtash, start a battle, ping with first strike, retrieve 1. Like there's no upside to that Gick. Yeah, the moment honor came down, honestly, Jonny could have taken it back sooner. I think he was just, it was going to add another card in hand he didn't want to add. So, because actually that Grimtash is potentially doing some damage, although Masterful Move will cancel that drain pretty consistently. And Jonny definitely is running one of those. It doesn't count as a battleground, no. The Holo Table and Holo Game Board are not battlegrounds. But Paul is actually satisfying honor right now, so he can drain there. So yeah, the Holo Table, Holo Game Board, and the Senate with the objective on table are, and then I think Dagobah are the only natural sites that have icons on both sides that are not battlegrounds. You can make some others conditionally. That Audience Chamber with Bushuda is not a battleground. Yep, Shielded Hoth, but again, it's the Shielded Hoth. The shield is not a battleground, and the 4th marker is, because it's exempt from the shield. So I think it's still a, you're looking at that. We see Paul got blaster controls out of play. Jonny's going to activate. I expect we'll see a, yep, here's the duel to ping for 1. And we see, I'm assuming we'll see 5-6 again here, because Jonny's really good at tracking. Yep, there's the 5-6. And there's a 4, so Paul will not win this duel, so he's going to get pinged for 1. Yep, there's 4-5. So he'll take a ping of 1 here. And then I think we'll see Jonny drain for 2 as Paul loses a Luke from hand. Like, Jonny doesn't... the Holo Game Board is actually going to be the annoying part for him right now. Like, that's actually the worst thing, because that is going to be a drain of 2. But I do think Jonny probably has a masterful move or knows where 1 is to go get. We see, sorry about the mess, go from hand from Paul to the drain, and the signal from hand. So Paul's down to 1 in hand, 4 in force. He's got 5 cards total. Jonny's got 14 down and 2 in hand. So 16. Like, Jonny is winning this game, And I said a few minutes ago, somewhere between 15 and 10. And I'm still sitting right on that number. I don't think there's no way Johnny's got anything in hand. Like, he doesn't have Mara. Mara would be the only thing you really would consider going after, I think, Wedge and Tycho with. Like, I guess, I mean, anything that can draw Destiny, but Goo is slowing down most of what you're doing. And I don't think there's anyone. Yeah, I mean, 10 to 15 is solid. Like, that's not a bad differential at all. And Johnny's probably perfectly happy with that. You know, I'm assuming there Johnny lost a masterful move from Force Pile. I believe he's got two though, and I gotta imagine he's sitting on the other one to cancel that drain at the holo table. We see Paul activate two. Yeah, I mean double digits is always good. The drain. Oh, Johnny does not have. He didn't draw into the masterful. Just didn't have it, so he lost Twi'lek from Force Pile and Force Lightning from Force Pile. And a drain of one at the Echo Command Center and loses another Masterful. So he did have two Masterfuls. He just didn't try drawing into one. Loses another Masterful. So he's down to 10 cards. Potentially he's actually going to be down a couple more now because he can't kill Paul this turn unless one of those cards is a character he can just drop and battle to get the first strike ping to end it. Paul just draws two, says, all right, well, I've got 5 cards total. And really, Johnny can do at most 4 damage. Yeah, the Grimtash at the holo table is going to end up doing some damage on the differential, and I think Johnny not trying to draw into his Masterfuls. It is possible he forgot that Masterful move cancels a drain at the holo site. So, I mean, again, I would never put odds on Johnny forgetting card text, but I gotta wonder if that's what happened there. We see the drain of 2 at Kashyyyk. And this is where I think if Johnny had held on to that, I would have held on to that battle order if I was Johnny. Just because once you hit that counter assault, you'd be like, dude, you don't have enough to do anything to me now. Here's battle order, and I'm just going to continue this grind. And Paul loses Endor from hand and Leia with Blaster. So he was sitting on Endor for quite a while. Just prevented putting it out because it was stopping Johnny from having a battleground he could drain at and do anything at. I mean, Paul has a solid light side here. He had a lot of answers, just Johnny had the answers he needed in a better position. You know, I don't think Paul has played poorly. I think most of what he's done lines up exactly what I would have done. It's tough sometimes. And here we see the Vader Luke duel again. Johnny draws a 6 and I think a 5 here. Yep. And Paul's going to draw, I think, 5-4 are his last 2 cards. I think it's out of commission and order. So we'll see another ping of 1. And yep, honor reduces it down to 2. So there's the ping of 1. Paul loses a sense from hand because he no longer has the force to play it, even if he want. I guess he has the force to play it, but like, why? Like, what are you doing with that sense? That because you have to pay 2 to stack it first. And Paul recirculates, so Johnny loses 1 more force. He loses Brangus from hand, so it is possible he tracked the Brangus better than me. I just didn't want to put it out because he didn't think the Sabacc was going to be worth the play. Kind of looks like we're going to see a drain of 3 here, and Johnny will win by 8. Like, I don't see much else going on. And actually, I could see Paul even draining for 3 and then drawing, because there's just no reason to put those last 2 cards in lost pile. And we see another Brangus from force pile to the drain of 1. There's a drain of 2 at the holo table. There's the projective. Jonny pays 2 to stack it. And yep, Paul's going to pay the 2. Okay, so it adds the 2 cards to lost pile. So Jonny's going to win by 7. Okay. Like I said, I think actually Jonny made a mistake in not playing his battle order. So Jonny says I meant to lose it, not play it. These things happen. So it ultimately doesn't change the differential at all. And playing it and stacking it like that, well, I guess it would have changed the differential by 1, but playing it and stacking it like that gives him 2 more cards in Paul's lost pile, which is good for him. And Jonny just passes on activate. Oh, Paul grabs the Grimtash back. I don't know that that's going to matter. Like, Jonny's just going to duel and win. And then drain for 2. Like, Paul's got 5-4 in reserve. That's... Jonny's going to win by 7. I mean, great game. Well played by both players. And Paul loses the Grimtash, and there's the order to engage. Here's the duel, which Jonny will indubitably win, as he's going to crack 5 with 2 draws. There's the Masterful. And a... yeah, Paul says draw 2 and a 1. Make it interesting. Oh, there's the 5. So, yep, Paul will lose his last 1. And, yep, Jonny's going to win by 7. Paul has 32 in lost pile to Jonny's 22. Well played by both players. Congratulations to Jonny on the win. There will be a second game. I don't know when it's going to be played. I assume we will hear, and when the stream team does, we will hopefully be able to cover it. Awesome game by both players. Thank you all for hanging out and watching and contributing in the chat. I love interacting with folks. That definitely makes things fun. Looks like they're saying up play it on Thursday, or looks like they may be doing it over the weekend instead. I mean, maybe they're just going to schedule it right now. That'd be nice. Like, hey, what are they going to throw it? It looks like it'll be doing over the weekend at some point, and I'm just gonna keep watching chat and see if they schedule it right now, and then you guys can all hear about it. Like, all right, so yep, they're gonna talk and schedule it and get it. So weekend, sometime this weekend, we will see game 2. With that, thank you all for watching. Had a blast as always. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time. May the force be with you.